Today on Short Course World, we review the Xray XB2 Dirt Edition. Let's get going. Hey everybody, Jason here, and I'm back with another review for you guys today. Today we're going to review the Xray XB2 Dirt Edition, and I guess the cat is out of the bag. My friends Ty and Gord Tessman left their longtime sponsor over at Hot Bodies, and they went over here to Xray. About 2 or 3 weeks ago, I got a message from the guys at Xray saying, hey, are you interested in doing a review on one of our cars? And I was like, yeah, I've always thought the Xray stuff was super nice. I actually said, okay, send me the carpet car with a ball diff, but they wanted to send the dirt car. And it's a little tricky because this isn't a car that I normally would go out and purchase because I run on so much high grip, but I've always known that the Xray stuff was really nice, so I said go ahead and send it anyways. So they went ahead and sent the car. We ended up doing a live unboxing on Facebook, so we're not going to do the unboxing here today, but let's head over to the bench, take a second, and I'll take you through how I outfitted my personal race car. This is my Xray XB2, and I guess we'll start outside. You can see that it's got raw speed stage 2 tires front and rear. I ran these down at SDRC after I broke them in and sauced them up, and they worked pretty darn good. I ended up trying a couple other sets of tires, including space bars, and I used electrons and positrons, so I tried a variety of different tires, all of which worked pretty darn good once they kind of came around and were sauced up. On the outside, this is the stock Xray body with a TLR rear wing. I've always liked the style of the TLR wings. They seem to be a little bit more durable than some of the other brands. Let's pop the body off real quick. We'll start up front. Basically, this is still a kit spring, a kit piston, which is a 3-hole by 1.3. We have a Reedy servo, an Airtronics antennaless receiver. This is the new Reedy 510 black box, or Reedy 510R speed control. I started this car, I built this car with an LRP speed control, but for whatever reason, it just didn't want to calibrate for me. So while I was down there, I actually bought this out of the hobby shop down at SDRC. So thanks, Travis. I appreciate you helping me out. And then we have a Reedy 6.5. That's a lot more motor than I tend to run, but I knew that I would be able to turn it down. So that's why I decided to put that in there. And then out back, we have the standard 1-dot springs with also 3-hole 1.3 pistons in there. One last thing I wanted to show you guys before I cut you loose. You can see that there's an aluminum servo horn on here. This car, a lot like the Yokomo YZ2 car, uses a very long servo horn. It's longer than like a TLR 22 3.0 or an associated B6 servo horn. And the plastic one probably won't last you very long. I want to say that this one was a hoodie and it had a few different holes, and I chopped the hole off just so that it wouldn't interfere over here. But you're definitely going to want to consider getting a high quality aluminum servo horn for this car. Now that we've had a second to look over my personal race car, let's talk a little bit about the build. Overall, the build was a pretty darn good experience. The manual is pretty amazing. Like, the illustrations are really, really good. The car starts off with a pre-assembled diff, and I was really kind of curious why it had a pre-assembled diff. But the way the thrust actually operates inside the outdrive, it actually gets held in there with a set of snap ring pliers, which probably makes servicing the diff rings and diff balls pretty nice, but you also have to have a special tool in order to assemble the diff. The fit and finish on the rest of the car was really pretty darn amazing. The quality of the Xray plastics is pretty awesome. A lot of people don't know this, but when you have a variety of different materials, like say you want to do soft arms and hard arms, the shrink rate is different on those plastics based on how much glass content is actually in the arm. Well, when you look at the arms on the Xray car, they actually have M or H on there to let you know that you have a soft or a medium or a hard arm, which means they've made custom molds for every single arm, and that's pretty darn impressive. Now keep in mind, it's a dirt car, so they wanted it to have a lot of grip. So it starts off with 4 degrees of toe in the back, which is quite a bit, and 2 degrees of anti-squat. The build itself went pretty darn good. There's a lot of nice features. The fact that you can kind of pull the top of the transmission case off with just a few screws is a really nice feature. Everything was packaged up super nice and neat. There's actually like these super thin little shavings of wood that come packaged into the actual materials themselves, or in the kit bags themselves, just to absorb moisture. Overall, the build went pretty darn good. The diff was pre-assembled, which is nice. Normally I would take that apart, but I didn't actually have the snap ring pliers to take it apart. Otherwise, I would have taken the diff apart, cleaned it, and just made sure that it was built the way I would have wanted it built. But I just had to trust that they did it right, and I'm sure they did. There are a few tips I want to share with you guys when building this car. The first thing is the steering blocks. Make sure that the beveled, smooth edge of the steering block faces the center line of the chassis. It's really easy to get these things on backwards, and then your steering geometry won't be accurate. That's the first thing. The second thing is pay close attention when you're installing your hinge pins. I noticed that on my car, the inner front hinge pins, weren't actually captured by the capture screws. You could actually push the hinge pin right by the capture screw, no problem. So you may want to put a small washer on there. I'm sure that if you reach out to Xray, they'd be happy to send you a couple of washers. On to performance. Now, we generally break performance up into 3 specific categories: jumping and landing, acceleration and braking, and then I guess cornering. We'll start off with acceleration and braking. The forward bite that this car generates is absolutely ridiculous. It almost didn't matter which tire I put on this car when we were down at SDRC. Positron, Stage 2s, I tried a couple of other tires, and almost every single tire would easily pull wheelies in this car, even with the battery as far forward as I could get it, and that's pretty darn impressive. Now, braking, when the car was in a straight line, it was really predictable and really smooth, but I definitely noticed that if you tried smashing the brakes in the corner, even with the brakes turned down to say 55 or 60%, it was a little bit nervous, but overall I would say that acceleration was absolutely stellar and braking was actually very good. Jumping and landing. This car actually jumped really well. Like, it was really easy to control in the air. If you wanted to whip it, you could. I did notice from time to time that the nose didn't want to come down quite as much as I would have liked, but overall I thought the car jumped really well. Now, landing's a little bit different. There's no question, as you can see right here, the car lands and it's like butter. It's ultra smooth. Let me show you that one more time. The car just kind of comes in, lands cleanly, and it just heads right up to the corner. But there seemed to be kind of a sharp edge where if you over jumped this exact same triple by just a little bit, it would slap, or kind of do that slap bounce thing. I don't want to be so quick to blame the car, because who knows? I didn't really get a lot of time to change the suspension package, the pistons and oil and all that stuff. But there's no question the car landed pretty good when you landed the downside perfectly. But I felt like probably either the shock package or the geometry, something about the car made it just a little bit less forgiving than some of the other cars I've driven when you over jump stuff. I did end up unscrewing the shock eyelets like 2 or 3 turns front and back to add a little bit of droop just to see if this would help. And it did seem to make a difference. So that kind of leads me to believe that there's a good chance that maybe changing the oil or adding a little bit of droop or something like that would make the car just a little bit more forgiving. Let's finish up performance with cornering. Overall, the car drove pretty darn good. I thought when the track conditions suited the car, it was actually very good, but when the bite would come up, there's no question that I kind of fought an on-power push, and I did a few different things to try and remedy this. I moved the battery all the way forward, I tried a heavier rear spring, I played around with front and rear roll centers, and I just couldn't get the car to carry as much corner speed as I wanted. The next step that I was going to try, after trying all this other stuff, was actually taking a bunch of toe out of the back of the car, and I really think that would have made a big difference. I did notice that there were a couple of spots on the track, and at the time I really wasn't sure if it was the track or the tires or what it was, so I was kind of searching. But there were a few spots where the car would just kind of break away aggressively and just didn't generate the side grip. I'm convinced now that it probably is the fact the car has so much toe in, 4 degrees of toe in. While that's really good in an outdoor environment, that's going to slow the car down from carrying a lot of corner speed. I ended up driving Ty's XB2 carpet car, and it was literally faster through the corner and had a more consistent side grip. We actually swiped the tires right off his car to try them in this car just to go back and forth a couple times. There's no doubt in my mind that the laydown car on the higher grip surfaces, when it's set up appropriately, is going to be faster. But if you happen to be one of those guys that race a lot of outdoors, someplace like Hot Rod Hobbies or someplace in the Midwest where the grip's a lot lower, then this thing is probably going to be one of the cars that actually generates enough grip that you can actually get around and be comfortable with it. If you've seen any of my videos, you know that I feel like value is really a two-sided coin, right? There's the metal and the plastic you get in the box, and there's the whole global experience. When it comes to what you get in the box, I think for $349 the car is a pretty darn good value. It's $349, the Yokomo car is $349, the Losi car is $329, the Associated car is $309, the Kyosho car is $399. It's right in the ballpark with the other major competitors. Is there anything I would like to have seen different? Yes. The carpet car is the exact same price, and it comes with carbon fiber shock towers. I would have liked to have seen carbon fiber shock towers in the box. It would have been nice to see a model of this caliber come with machine pistons, but even more important than the machine pistons to me, I wish it had the new updated style shock shafts where the screw actually holds the piston in. I'm just not a big fan of E-clips. I don't know that myself or anybody else could tell a difference on the track, but just servicing and working on the vehicle, I just don't like messing with E-clips. So overall value in the kit is pretty darn good. When it comes to the whole global value, that's a little bit different story. The value isn't as good. I would say it's like fair at best. And the reason I'm saying that, there are a few reasons I'm saying that. Number one, there are barely any hobby shops here in Southern California that actually carry parts for this car. The only shop that I know for sure that carries stuff is SCVRC. That's Santa Clarita Valley RC. Eric, the owner down there, actually runs an Xray, and they actually have a nice parts wall of parts for the car. But nobody wants to go racing, drive a couple hours to go racing, break the car, then have to leave early, right? It's also really nice to have setups, support, to see other sponsored drivers running the car. That way you can bounce ideas off them, try their cars. And Xray hasn't had that. Now, obviously, Xray is changing things. They've just hired Tyngord Tessman, arguably the top RC team in the world. So there's no doubt in my mind that in the future, we're gonna see more setups. We're gonna see a driver network start to be created, and there will be more support. But as it stands for right now, what you get in the box is a pretty darn good value, but the whole global value, it's fair. Nobody wants a car that's made out of glass, right? We want a car that's durable, that we don't have to fix continually. And overall, I'm gonna tell you that I think the durability on this car is pretty darn good. On more than one occasion, I would do wheelies, flip it over backwards, cartwheel it down the straightaway with a 6.5. I mean, the car was moving and I didn't damage anything. Now, I have heard stories of guys breaking the front ends off in some gnarly crashes. Every car can be broken, but I would say that overall the durability on this car is actually pretty darn good. The only failure I saw the whole time I was at SDRC while I was doing the review for this car, one of the kids actually ripped a ball stud out after he added a ball stud washer, and I wouldn't even blame the car for that. I would say that the truth is these ball studs aren't super long, so if you're gonna start adding ball stud washers, make sure that the ball stud, the threads on the ball stud are long enough that you get adequate engagement. So overall, I would say the durability is very good, but obviously any car can be broken. Every racer wants to go fast, but we also like bling. We like aftermarket stuff. It's just the way it is. Shiny aluminum, anodized aluminum, titanium, whatever. The aftermarket for a lot of these kind of like more exotics just isn't as robust as it is for something like a TLR or an associated car. But with that said, it still exists. Xray themselves make a whole bunch of option parts for this car already, whether it's shock towers, hard arms, all kinds of different things, lay down transmissions. So the aftermarket itself has started back at Xray, but there are also other guys that have made stuff. McCune Designs makes nice carbon fiber battery straps and shock towers. Lunsford has their own dedicated turnbuckles for these cars. So the aftermarket isn't huge, but it's definitely there. Likes and dislikes. Let's talk about some of the things I really liked about the kit and some of the things that I would change. The first thing is I love that it's super high quality and the fit and finish is so nice. Love that. Love the fact that it's made in Europe in its entirety. That is absolutely amazing. I really like the fact that they've priced it competitively for such a high quality model. And last but not least, I really like the fact that the diff access is so easy from the bottom. You can just pull the top of the transmission case off. With that said, there are a few things I would change. The first thing I would change is the diff. I wish they wouldn't have put a diff in the car that requires a special tool like snap ring pliers. I just don't know many 12 to 14-year-old kids or even 18-year-old kids that have snap ring pliers like that in their box. That's the first thing. The second thing is it's a super high quality model. I thought that it probably should have came with machine pistons. I don't know that I can tell a difference on the track, but it would have been nice to have. I really like the new style shock shaft where the screw holds a piston on as opposed to the E-clip. It would have really been nice if they would have put cut lines in the body so you knew exactly where to cut it for each transmission style. And last but not least, the carpet car comes with carbon fiber towers and it's the exact same price, and this car comes with plastic towers. I heard someone tell me that they did the plastic towers because they thought it added more grip, but there's definitely a perception in feeling which one is more valuable. People feel like carbon towers are more valuable, and I do too, so I would have liked to have seen those in the kit. Here we are at the end of the review. Let's talk about the conclusion. Xray has created a super nice, super high quality model. The fit and the finish on this car are really second to none. It's a super nice kit. They're working on the other side of value. They're working on their team. Clearly, they're committed to creating a solid presence here in North America. They just hired Tyngord Tessman. There's no doubt that there will be more setups. I'm sure their support or their team driver network will expand here shortly. Would I have bought this car for here in Southern California for the tracks I race at? I wouldn't have. By the time you actually change the transmission, the idler gear, the rear shock tower, if you're going to change the rear shock tower, you may as well change the front shock tower so now that everything's carbon fiber. It just would have been a lot easier to buy the carpet car and put a ball diff in it. And after driving Ty's car, I was actually really impressed with the laydown car. It just seemed to land a little bit better, was definitely faster through the corner. So that's what I wish I would have had. I wish I'd have got the carpet car. However, with that said, if you actually race on a lower grip surface, if you're racing outdoor, a place like Hot Rod, or if you're back in the Midwest and you're on super low grip, this is definitely a car that probably will generate the grip you need in the back to get around the track and be competitive while still being comfortable. A lot of the laydown cars can be super aggressive on those really low grip tracks. So that's been my review. Hope you guys enjoyed watching this video just as much as I enjoyed making it, and we will see you in the next one. Bye-bye. I just want to say thanks again for watching my videos. I appreciate you guys watching. If you enjoyed this video, you'd be doing me a huge favor if you could either like, comment, or even better, subscribe. I post a lot of stuff on social media like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, stuff like that. So if you want to catch up with me, I'll post this stuff up for you, and you can come on over, add me as a friend, follow me on Instagram, and you'll be able to see things that just don't make it to YouTube. Again, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Go ahead.
20.9. 20.2. 31 flat. 18.8. 21.3. 16.7. 17.4. 21.9. 28.8. 17.1. 49 flat. 20.3. 17.2. 16.5. 17 flat, 20.8, 21.5, 17.4. 16.4.
You think you can do any better? You think you can do better? Here you go. Give it a try. Here.
21.7.
You ready?
26.3. 17.5. 20.9. 19.5. 17.5. 17.4. 52.6. 16.4. 17 flat, 22.5, 16.7, 20.4.
I didn't want it to feel too bad. I only did it once.
17 flat.